There is no better place than one's own homeland. One of the Kazakh proverbs states that there are no better people than the people of your home country. And it really is true. When traveling to faraway lands, one is always accompanied by nostalgia, a feeling of longing for the home country, friends and faces that are familiar since childhood. But at times, life itself draws borders and you may end up on the other side. One of the largest and most populated cities of Russia, Novosibirsk, has become a small home for many people from Kazakhstan. Today we're off to the very heart of Siberia upon the invitation of the Kazakh National Center Aghain, which was founded by our compatriots. Until next time, Kazakhstan, hello Siberia. After 2 hours, the plane captain announces that we're about to land at the Tolmachevo International Airport. Surprisingly, the weather is warm for this area, -1 in the middle of December. It seems that our compatriots really prepared for a warm welcome and were even able to strike a deal with the weather. Admirers of small provincial towns with cozy small streets and old wooden houses are unlikely to like Novosibirsk at first sight. The city is very young, just barely over 100 years old, and of course has no ancient architectural monuments to boast. Nevertheless, after getting to know it better, one will at least get a feeling of respect for the city. The story of Novosibirsk probably should begin with the fact that this is the largest city of not only Siberia, but also of Russia's entire Trans-Ural region. What's more, the city managed to have its population increase from practically zero to 1.5 million residents in just a few decades. The title of the capital of Siberia truly suits Novosibirsk. Wide streets, monumental sculptures and buildings. One can feel the spirit of a capital, the breadth of the Russian soul, as well as the unique Siberian might and resolve. Novosibirsk is a multinational, modern, and dynamic city. First of all, this is due to the fact that it has a high number of higher educational institutions. One of the districts of the city is enthralled in the world of science. The Novosibirsk academic town is known all across the world. It was science which attracted many people to the city. Aghain is one of those people. Many years ago, having just graduated from high school, she headed off to Novosibirsk in pursuit of greater knowledge. I came to Novosibirsk in 1984, during the Soviet time, to get my higher education. I graduated with a degree in pedagogy and stayed to live in Novosibirsk. I have a family and have been living here all those years. Of course, I still have my ties to Kazakhstan, because that is where my relatives live. It is my homeland. In one of her articles, Aghain wrote, "In life, it may be difficult to find a person with whom you feel a close connection. In terms of the spirit, view on life, hobbies and interests. At first, it seems that each one of us ended up in the city because of some life circumstances. Some were born here, others came to study, and some finished their studies and built their own family. But it is not by chance that we ended up in these Siberian lands. It was necessary for us to meet each other." Strong work ethic, persistence, and homesickness played their part. Aghain opened a full-fledged Kazakh center in Novosibirsk and symbolically named it Aghain. Slowly but surely, this seemingly fragile but incredibly strong woman worked on realizing her dream. Fellow compatriots started gathering in the center, traditional Kazakh music could be heard, lyrics of the songs and dance movements were remembered. This added some joy to life. Today, the center has a great number of members, but the active women's collective stands out the most. All of them were born in Kazakhstan, but due to life circumstances, ended up here in Siberia. Each one of these women has their own life story. Janar Nurkina, born in Pavlodar, says that the most important thing today is for her children not to forget their roots, traditions, and language.
Для меня Казахстан это, это все-таки самая настоящая первая родина, которую я люблю и.
For me, Kazakhstan is my true and first homeland, which I love, and because of which I felt some sort of emptiness when I do not hear traditional Kazakh melodies. The thing is that when my father would wake me up in the morning, instead of using an alarm clock, he would come and sit beside me and begin playing the dombra. Slowly, I woke up to these sounds and the day began. A busy day, something was always happening, but I knew that in the evening I will come home, just like always, and my father will be there to greet me with a dombra. Such a perfect state of peace when you know that you have a father and there is this music that plays in the background throughout your entire day. Of course, there is nothing like this in Russia. Despite the fact that Novosibirsk is an active and dynamic city, I always miss this atmosphere of my home country. We started with this center in order to have the opportunity to create Kazakh language classes, dance and singing classes, to sing traditional Kazakh songs. First and foremost, for us to preserve this attachment to Kazakh culture, of course to be able to pass it on to our children. Janar's youngest daughter does classical ballet and is learning traditional Kazakh dances with great enthusiasm. Incredible plasticity, aesthetics of movements, and the national flavor capture the imagination of the audience when Darya takes to the stage.
Мы каждый год ездим в Казахстан к родственникам там.
I go to Kazakhstan every year with my relatives. What I remember the most are the beautiful and boundless steppes. When we were driving to Almaty, there was a lunar eclipse. We were driving past the steppes at night, and there was a huge orange moon up in the sky. It was very beautiful. It is not easy to live in Siberia, but very interesting. Our compatriots say that their life is very similar to a deep river which divides a city in half. One part remained in Kazakhstan and the other in Russia, at the banks of the great Ob River. The Ob River commences high in the Altai and forms at the confluence of two mountain rivers, Katun and Biya. In the north, the Ob River flows into the Kara Sea, forming an 800-meter-long gulf, which is called the Gulf of Ob. Within the boundaries of Novosibirsk, the river is quite wide, and at the upper border of the city, it is closed off by the dam of the Novosibirsk hydroelectric station, and from there, the large Ob reservoir begins, which is also informally called as the Ob Sea. This is one of the most favored places of the city's residents all year round. In the summer, the beach season begins, and in the winter, athletes take to the ice, and fishermen spend all their free time here. The banks have become covered in dense mixed forestry. This is the wonderful place where the famous academic town was established. The academic town was established in 1957. The decision on its establishment was part of a resolution of the USSR government. Construction works began in 1958, and already in 1959, the buildings of the first institutions and residential houses were commissioned. The Institute of Hydrodynamics was built first. In the following years, more than 20 other institutes were built, as well as residential districts and the Novosibirsk State University. The life of one of our compatriots, Galym Sainov, is closely tied with the Novosibirsk State University.
Родился 1 сентября, поэтому меня назвали, наверное, Галым, потому что ученый, вы знаете, как переводится. Родился в Восточном Казахстане, село Буран.
I was born on September 1st, that is why I was given the name Galym, which translates as scholar. I was born in East Kazakhstan, in the town of Buran, and that is why all my friends say that I'm the Buran grandfather. Before it was called the Kurchum district, but it has been renamed. I was born into a family of young specialists. My parents were school teachers. They completed their entire practicum at a very famous school in Buran, where the principal was Mr. Nurgaliyev, who was quadriplegic. Then we moved to Almaty. That is why I do not really remember my childhood spent in the village. I lived my entire life then on in Almaty. I went to a public school number 119, named after Ghani Muradbayev, and in 7th grade transferred to a Republican physics and mathematics school. After finishing high school, I was accepted to the Novosibirsk State University. After graduating, I taught at the Polytechnic Institute, and then 3 years later completed my research degree. I worked at the Institute of Theoretical and Applied Mechanics as a junior fellow researcher. Then came the Perestroika period, and I had to leave science and switch to the field of culture. Right now we're working in the film industry. I was first a film producer, then a distributor, and then became the owner of a chain of movie theaters. Whilst living outside of Kazakhstan, Galum tries to popularize Kazakh culture in Russia through films and by organizing private screenings in movie theaters.
Ко мне приезжают друзья из Казахстана, или находят через моих друзей в контакт со мной. И мы показываем фильмы, но только это не массовый прокат, это обычно как премьерный показ. Ну, если честно, к нами также и узбеки нас находят.
My friends from Kazakhstan come to visit me or find me through friends online, and we screen the movies. This is not a wide-scale event, usually just a premiere screening. Also, people from Uzbekistan find us. This is fine because in reality, we have a great diversity of people who live here, Kazakh people and people of other ethnicities who came from Kazakhstan. They are of course interested in what is happening in Kazakhstan and if there are some Kazakh films being released. For example, there was the movie Racketeer and then the sequels, and we invited and gathered everyone here. But to be honest, Uzbek people are more close-knit. They gather faster for the screenings of Uzbek films. We have this movement of diasporas where people get together and all are very friendly. We love our horse meat, our barsaks, bishparmak, our holidays like Nowruz. There may not be as many of us here like of other ethnicities, but we're also a tight-knit community. Our compatriot has already visited more than 37 countries. During all his travels, he represents Kazakhstan and Russia with great pride. Living here outside of Kazakhstan, we're still representatives of our peoples. We are sort of ambassadors. People who do not know Kazakh people base their ideas on us. When you meet someone and say that I'm Kazakh, then you cannot behave inappropriately if you're a representative of your people. I love to travel. I've already been to 37 countries of the world. I've been to such distant countries like Australia, New Zealand, Nepal, the States, Canada, Mexico, European countries, and I'm planning to continue traveling. I will be honest, I'm interested in whether there are other people who are like Kazakh people. Science, culture, and traditions unite our compatriots abroad. Their lives have things in common. They came to study and found their happiness here. Aygul Baralinova could not decide for a long time whether to stay in Russia or to come back home.
Родители в какой-то степени предопределили мой выбор. Я хотела в университет. И они мне много рассказывали о том, что есть Новосибирский академгородок, где...
My parents sort of determined my decision. I was choosing a university, and then they told me that there is the Novosibirsk academic town, where there are a lot of scientific and research institutes, and where life is very interesting. This sparked my interest. I went and really liked it. The 5 years of my studies at the university and living in the academic town are of course unforgettable. I do not regret anything, despite the fact that I switched my profession later on. Siberia overall, and Novosibirsk particularly, in terms of mentality, to me seem very unusual. An unusual region and an unusual city. After graduating from university, Aygul changed her profession and decided to dedicate her life to music. After completing her studies at the Department of Vocal Art, Aygul herself became a teacher.
Вы знаете, я участвую в фестивалях национальной культуры, которые бывают в Новосибирске. Причем среди представителей нашей профессии, в общем-то, многие вокалисты.
I participate in festivals of national culture which take place in Novosibirsk. Among representatives of our profession, many vocalists and singers participate. I know that the soloist of the opera theater represents his own diaspora, and he also participates. Workers of culture, which can showcase their art on the stage, we all participate in this. We showcase our skills and talents. I have students who are laureates of many international and countrywide competitions. One student, Stanislav, is a Valery Yagudin scholarship holder, the People's Artist of the Soviet Union, who was a soloist of our Novosibirsk Opera Theater. Also, Stanislav received the Presidential Prize this year. If we start listing, then there are a lot of people. A lot of students who continue with their profession, and this is the most important. Preservation of the language and traditions, popularization of the culture, all this is the achievement of the elder generation of the Kazakh Center, which organizes not only socially oriented activities, but also has educational programs.
В первое время не было такой надобности вести казахский язык, хотя в Казахстане я была преподавателем казахского языка в русской школе.
In the beginning, there was no need to offer Kazakh language lessons, even though I was a teacher of Kazakh language in a Russian-speaking school in Kazakhstan. I did not even think that this would be useful in Russia. When we established the Kazakh Center, many young people wanted to study their native language. I got into this with great pleasure. At the beginning, there were not many students, 5 or 6, and then there were more students, 12 to 15. It was great to see that they wanted to learn their native language, even though they did not even know basic words or the Kazakh alphabet. I taught them not only the language and grammar or everyday words, but also tried to pass on a lot of knowledge about Kazakhstan, about the history of Kazakhstan, about the modern cities and the capital of our homeland. We screened a lot of slideshows and movies. Every day, the younger generation expresses more and more interest in the center. Today, a youth wing of the center has already been established.
У нас главная задача, чтобы узнавали культуру.
Our main goal is for the people to find out about the culture, to be proud, first and foremost, of who they are, how unique they are, because every culture is unique, and we have to preserve our culture. We conduct various seminars, dance festivities, and we take part in city as well as regional events.
В Joly со временем где-то в 2013 году, наверное, образовалась футбольная команда. Мальчики очень хорошо играют, неоднократно выигрывали.
In 2013, a football team was formed. The boys are really good. Numerous times they finished first or second in international cup competitions. There's a girls' basketball team. The contribution of the Kazakh Cultural Center is invaluable because everyone here finds friends and realizes their own potential. Here we dance and sing, even if we're not that good. It is important to protect the honor of Kazakh people, and it brings a great joy to do this. The Kazakh Center actively participates in all inter-ethnic regional and city events. Over the years of its existence, they managed to launch their own projects, a beauty contest, Kazakh Shayim, international practical seminar on Kazakh dance for choreographers and leaders of dance collectives of the region and the city, a choreographic Kazakh dance collective, Tan Sholpan, and the annual regional traditional Kazakh festival, Shanarak, the main aim of which is popularization of the traditional culture among the local population and unification of Kazakh people living in Novosibirsk region. Respect and love towards their culture and people help the center to create a tight-knit collective. Thanks to this organization, many people got the opportunity to meet other people and even create a family. And the most important is recognition in the wider society. Novosibirsk is undoubtedly one of the most attractive cities of Russia. But nothing can replace your home country. A long journey awaits us, which will open up the path towards our new fellow compatriots, new cities, and new heroes of our program.